All right, John, what's up, man?
How's it going, man?
Good. Let's start with how you and Joe know each other. Who wants to take that one?
So we met, if I'm correct, we were at Dareth's house, Dareth and Kayla, on New Year's.
Yes.
Right? Was that Dareth and Kayla's New
Yeah,
Year's?
yeah. Oh, that was the day. I thought it was that dinner was after.
Talking about the dinner
Remington,
before I left New York City?
Yeah, your dinner.
My dinner.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so you went from there to your going away dinner.
Yep.
We became tight pretty quickly.
Little romance?
It was a bromance for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it was. I think it was 2 weeks from that until you were leaving, or a month or something like that.
I'm trying to think. So I left New York City around February, and so we would have met.
Yeah,
a couple.
it was like a month.
A couple months. Yeah, a month or so. Yeah.
But yeah, we were at this New Year's party of a mutual friend, and we were talking about something.
Man, we're talking about everything.
Yeah,
What
like
year was this?
this was
2020. It was New Year's of 2019 to 2020.
Yes.
So where were you leaving to?
I was going to Florida.
To move to Florida?
Yep. I had been in New York City for about 3 years up to that point.
Okay. Let's move on just a little closer.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You can
Yeah,
go all the way to
absolutely.
the edge.
Cool.
So we met and we were just chatting up the whole night and had like a little bromance, and that was it.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's dope. So we appreciate you being here today.
Oh, also
Keeping the
there
bromance
was some talent at the party, and they were all clamming to him, and he was just like fending them off, and he was talking to me, and all the girls like getting jealous of me. And they were like,
You got the
they were like, Joe,
stress.
can you like move away so that we could talk to John? And I was like, all right.
Man,
That's how I feel when I hang out with him.
That wasn't the night that that Kelsey chick was there, was it?
Yeah. No. Yeah. So this woman was like literally trying to rip his clothes off, and he was just like, get away! I'm talking to this my friend Joe, and she's like, fine.
She was awful. I hate to be mean, because I
And
hope
she was
that she
really
doesn't
pretty,
see
too.
this, but she her personality just wasn't for me.
Exactly,
It
yeah.
was, and I'm a very hyperactive person. I have a big personality, and her personality just was massive.
Really?
When she's in the room, it was boom, 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 talking all the time, bouncing off. She was crazy. She was way too much. Way too
Now
much.
you had hung out with her once before that, right?
No,
but you
never.
knew about each other.
No, we knew.
She knew about
each
you or
other.
something.
Yeah. She had texted me, and I think it was either Kayla or Dareth, one of the two, or was it?
Susan?
No.
Oh, Victoria.
Victoria. Was it Victoria?
So
Somebody had told her about me, or vice versa, or another.
So we have a friend Victoria who is like the funniest person, and she likes to poke the bear.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew that this woman liked John.
When you say woman,
Girl.
okay, how old are we talking?
20s.
No.
20s,
I think she was actually older than me.
So-
She was a couple years.
Okay, I'm
older.
just trying to get the. I'm just
not
trying to
like
get the
an older
yeah.
woman.
So like I'm 29. I think she might have just turned 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matter of fact.
Okay.
But Victoria would be like, John, why don't you go talk to so-and-so, and, why don't you guys go on a date? And he'd be like, and she'd be like, no, you told me you liked her. Like, she's standing right there.
So she's
Yeah.
egging it on
Just
purpose,
egging it
knowing.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man. And yeah.
All right.
That was a fun night. Yeah.
I love it. So you guys, ever since then, pretty tight, even though you don't live in the same spot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
probably haven't seen each other since the
Yeah.
going
It's
away
been
party.
it's been a while. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense with COVID, but all right. Well, then let's jump back. So you were on MTV's "Are You the One?" Right?
Yes.
All right. You want to take us through that? Like, how did it start? Did they reach out to you, or did you apply, audition? Because obviously we're dating relationships, dating apps, so we're trying to get to the core of
Right.
just all the issues.
So the way that Are You the One approached me, it actually happened over the course of about a year. So what had happened was I started seeing a girl, right? We were about 2 weeks into our relationship, and then I get a random email. Somehow or another, they got my information.
Okay.
And I got an email from Are You the One, basically, wanting me to apply. So I just ignored it, basically. And 2 weeks later, I got hit up from the real world. Same thing. I just ignored it. And basically the same thing happened 2 months later, or 6 months later, I mean. I'm guessing they casted for another season, so they reached out again. Same thing, ignored it. And then they reached out.
Oh, they really
again.
wanted you.
They reached out again on the third time. And the ironic thing about the third time for me was I had just broken up with that girl the same day. And I go home and I check my email. And it was like, so ironic because it was like, does your love life suck? This is what the email said. It's like, do you suck at dating? And I'm just like thinking to myself, almost like, F you, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is too weird. So I'm going to fill it out as like an F you type thing. Finally going to respond. And then 2 weeks later, they flying me out to LA. This is like the third part of the selection process or whatever. And so when you land, they bring you into this room. It's like a hotel room, basically. And there's a bunch of other dudes who look just like you sitting in there. So it's super funny. And then you can't talk to anybody. They're using initials to basically talk to everyone and call them out of the room one by one. And then you have to take a 600 question personality exam.
Holy
so that's
shit.
when I'm
600 questions.
600 questions.
Whoa.
It's on a Scantron. You want to know how I know it was 600 questions? Because it was on a Scantron. 600 questions on a Scantron. I'm mind blown, right? But they're dumb questions. It's simple. But one thing I did notice is that they would repeat the same question.
Oh.
And I'm assuming they're looking for you to answer this question differently the second time to see that's going to basically, I guess, explain some sort of personality traits.
Right.
So I'm taking the test, blah, blah, blah. I do that. They send you in to go see a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Which is good. I feel like that's good. I don't want any crazy people. I know they want crazy, but there's got to be a line.
Right.
I don't
for
want to
sure.
get stabbed.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they sit you down with a matchmaker, and then you sit down with like the producers of the show, and there's usually like 6 or 7 of them in the room, and yeah, that's how that process went. And then about a month after that, they sent me all my flight information.
That was it.
That was it,
So,
man.
what do you think? Like, did you have a social media presence back then? Like, how did they find you? How did they keep reaching out to you?
I did some stuff. I randomly found a Craigslist ad one time when I was living in Louisiana. That was like
Glory hole.
I was
No, that's what, I don't know. That's where my brain went.
no. I was in really good shape, and I was just living in the middle of nowhere with my biological father, bored out of my mind, looking for anything to do. So I got on Craigslist, and there was a CMT show filming right down the street, and they needed someone to mow a yard with their shirt off. And I was shredded, like probably the most shredded I've ever been in my life. And so I hit them up. They hit me up within like 25 minutes.
Wow.
They reached out and they were like, cool, come on by. We'll get you set up. You can do the filming. And then I guess I made a good impression with, it was CMT at that time. It was another reality TV based show. So I guess I just made a impression with them. They kept calling me back for different scenes. The next thing you know, I'm getting hit up to do a pilot for a CMT show that basically never aired. Okay. You know, they're just hitting different groups of people and throwing them at networks and hoping that one sticks. Apparently, this is what my assumption is. So I fly out to Destin, Florida, and I do that. And that was like my first like real taste of reality TV show. Mm-hmm. And then I'm assuming that that's just how my information got around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we always talk a lot about like whether it's business or social, how, you know, just being ready for opportunities, and like you never know when it's going to happen, and you never know unless you try. So it seems like, you know, just answering this crazy random Craigslist ad, like look what it led to, right?
Right.
So it's absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool though. So I'm actually not familiar with Are You the One? That's like one of the few ones. So what's the premise of that one?
So what it is you have 10 guys and 10 girls, and obviously I kind of explained to you the selection process when I was doing this, so you can get an idea of how this kind of ties into that. You got 10 guys and 10 girls, and the point of the game is to basically just communicate with each other in the house throughout your time there, and then try to determine who you would feel might be your match. You know, especially taking into consideration the selection process, the things that they made you go through, the way that you talked to the matchmaker, the things that you said, you know, and then you try to take that information and you try to use it to play the game. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you have something called a truth booth, you have matchup ceremonies, right? And then you have the challenges, which are going to lead to the dates where you can, you know, try to play strategically and go on dates with people that you think you might be compatible with, maybe answer some questions. So the way that it works is you're in the house for a week, you're talking with people, you're, you know, doing whatever, and then you go to the challenge. And the first challenge, I believe we selected a partner, and you go through the challenge.
Physical challenges?
Sometimes physical, sometimes it's questions, whatever, trivia, whatever. Okay. And then so it varies. And so once you do the challenge, whoever wins, you go on the date, and then you get to decide. They get to vote you into the truth booth, whoever didn't go on the date. Right? So while you're out on the date, everyone's back at the house. They walk into the room. There's 2 pictures on the screen. You select which person you want to send into the truth booth, right? Once that happens, at the end of the night, you have the truth booth ceremony where everybody's in the living room and you guys kind of go over why and who got voted into the truth booth. At that point, they go into the truth booth. It's going to tell them if they're a perfect match or not. And then if they're not, back to square one, basically. And then you have the matchup ceremony the next night. So the matchup ceremony, it alternates girls and guys going and speaking and picking. Okay. So 1 week of guys will go up and they'll talk to the host and they'll say, this is why I think this person's my match. They might go over a couple different things, and then they'll go sit down. So once everybody's seated, you'll have beams of light. Those beams of light represent matches on the stage. If you have no beams of light, that's a blackout. That means you're going to lose $250,000 from the prize.
Oh, so it's a prize.
Oh, yeah, $1 million prize. Oh, dude, what? You think I would go on a reality TV show if they weren't paying me something?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Is it a prize for... That's why I didn't even respond to the real world.
Yeah, there's no prize. Yeah. Just ruin your life.
Just ruin your life.
Yeah.
Wow. So
is it a prize for a couple or an individual?
So it is a group game. So you win as a group and you lose as a group. So if you let's say come down to week 10, and you guys have 8 beams of light. Well, sorry, dude, you lose.
Yeah, okay.
You go home with a $2,000 stipend.
So you're there for 10 weeks also?
It's filmed in 10 weeks, but it's
wow.
6 to 8.
Okay, wow.
So how far did you get?
I mean, there is no, you don't get voted off the island type of deal in this show. The only way that you're going to leave the house is if you find your perfect match. And you guys go into the truth booth, you confirm a match, and then you get to go. If you get that, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The first one out of our group was Cameron and Michaela, and we kind of were staying with each other for a little bit after the show. And from what I heard of their story, of how their experience went, they, for 5 weeks, got to go do whatever they wanted to, and they had a driver from the production.
After the show?
No, or during the show? Once they got matched and voted out of the house, they send them to what they call a honeymoon suite, just like a suite in a resort in Maui.
Really?
Where they get a driver and they get to just go do whatever they want.
What?
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Are they still together?
Our experiences were just vastly different.
For sure.
No, they're not still together.
Damn, I thought they had a shot.
No, Michaela's actually with Joe from season 6, who's a really cool guy. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's a little ancestral, but I dig it if they're happy.
Yeah.
You were on season 4?
I was on season 4, yeah.
Okay. And was season 6 the last season?
No, I think season 8 was.
Wow.
But, me being completely stubborn, I went on this show without even watching a single episode.
I like that, though. That's cool.
Oh, man. If I could go back, though.
You would, though? And get some, figure out how to do it? Yeah.
Strategically.
Yeah.
I was at a point in my life where they were like, you can make 50 grand. I said, just tell me where I signed my name, basically.
Yeah.
So I didn't do my diligence, and it definitely affected my ability to make the most of the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because, dude, I'm on TV getting hammered. I don't drink, for one.
You don't drink?
I don't drink. And
wow.
Yeah, I haven't been someone to go and drink for years. So I wasn't someone who was a big drinker at the time. I like, recreational cannabis, just straight up, so I don't drink.
Yeah.
MTV was not a chance.
You couldn't use any of it on the show?
Oh, you couldn't? No, absolutely not. They completely
But they wanted you to get
your
drunk.
Entire being before you went on that show.
That's crazy.
But they wanted you to drink and, suss it up with some drama?
Yeah. I'm assuming so. I mean, you don't need any type of, catalyst when all you do is stick a bunch of people in a house and you give them nothing to do and a ton of booze.
Yeah.
So outside of finding a connection, was there any guy drama with you guys getting the testosterone built up?
Not even really like that, because the biggest guys in the house were like the nicest guys in the house.
And I assume you were one of the biggest guys.
It was like me, Prosper was a big guy, Cameron Bruckman was a big guy. Other than that, like that was it. And I've never been one. Once I got to a certain size in life, I'm like, I don't need to hit anybody. Like, probably just best I don't.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like that. It's good strategy. So did you post show? Did you try to like parlay that into the next? Because a lot of people on reality shows, dating shows, they go on a little, they ride the wave as long as they can. And I always, we talk about the Jersey Shore people a lot because most of them really took advantage of that. Like, or say half of them. So Vinny's doing a lot of stuff, Paulie, Snooki, and the rest of them are doing stuff. But like those three, I think in particular, really catapulted their life after.
I mean, so I'll just go ahead and address that from the first question. I was down, right, to go do something else. Even though I told you guys, like, I don't want to do MTV, I still would have been down to ride that wave.
For the money.
For the money.
Right.
At the time being. Once it gets past a certain point, it's like, probably not going to go back to that, right? So they did reach out to me about a spinoff where they take you and your perfect match and they put you in these situations where you have to do challenges together and you compete against other perfect matches, which I thought was, wow, that's a pretty good idea.
Sounds cool, yeah.
Way to, catapult the show into something different.
Yeah.
And I was down and they reached out to me and they reached out to my perfect match, Victoria. But she was in school, I think law school, something important enough to where when she said no, I said, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
did you guys actually have anything going, like, since she's like your perfect match?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it's super strange. No, not really.
Okay.
But we were like making out one time at the bungalow in Santa Monica when I was
Oh, yeah?
out here after the show. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember we were not supposed to be seen with each other at this point. It was like in our contract specifically, no.
Oh, so the show wasn't released yet, but it was post-show.
So we weren't supposed to be seen with each other. We sure as hell weren't supposed to be posting ourselves on social media together. And we're sitting here making out on camera, posting it, saying, fuck MTV. And we posted it, and guess what? MTV loved it. And it had like 200,000 views. And I was just like mind blown.
And that's years ago too, right?
Years ago.
That's crazy.
And I think that's really why they wanted to see if we would be down to do the spinoff.
Yeah.
Because I think that we actually had some people that would watch us. But no.
Yeah, who is MTV to deny a perfect match? They can't do that. They can't stifle your love.
So where is Victoria now?
I don't know. I think she still lives out in Chino Hills, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so speaking about perfect matches, talking to you over the last 2 years, you are in a relationship.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to pick your brain on that, right? Like being 29, good-looking guy, could kind of get whoever he wants.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to say great-looking guy.
Great-looking guy.
Too nice. Man.
How do you and her handle that, right? I'm sure when you guys go out, a lot of chicks are all over you. How is she with that stuff?
That is like such a good question, and it's such a complex question. I wish that there was just like one simple explanation for this, but unfortunately, it really just boils down to like you as an individual person. You have to be secure in life,
right,
with yourself.
Yeah,
man. And like I used to be such an insecure guy, for whatever reason, just like a lot of good-looking people are very insecure. And so I was insecure for many years of my life, and I felt like it just crippled me in relationships. The jealousy and just the overall just overthinking and just basically being miserable, making myself miserable by being insecure and not just accepting.
And now when you say you were insecure, do you mean from other guys towards her, or?
Man, I think it was just like I was insecure because I didn't trust anybody. I had trust issues.
Okay.
So anytime, this was years and years ago, but it's just something that I had to get over. If somebody texts my girlfriend or hits on her, I really don't care anymore, Yeah. It's what trust, like if I can't trust you like that, I can't be in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to.
I feel
like that level of trust and like, and what that means is you have to be secure in yourself.
100%.
And when you feel those insecurities coming on and you want to be upset, you have to be consciously aware enough to rationalize these thoughts in your head and go, 100%. There's actually nothing going on here. It's just all in my head.
Yeah, and I think you bring up some great points, like with Hannah and I, right? Like Hannah's a model, she's beautiful. She was so insecure, and I would say, like, you know, how are you insecure? You're so good looking, and it doesn't matter. To your point, like, it doesn't matter how good looking you are. And these insecurities would come up about, oh, who's texting you? Where are you going? And I'd be like, you know, you just need that trust. And I think over time with communication, you get through that and get the foundation of trust, and that's how you could, you know, work together.
Yeah, but what happens when it just doesn't?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
what happens when you know that you're a loyal person?
Yeah,
and that your significant other has absolutely nothing to worry about, but there is never that trust.
Yeah,
no matter all the effort that you're putting in, and you're just sitting there telling yourself, like, what do you do?
Yeah, and I think trust is by far the main thing, but I think it's also communication, where past relationships, you have to remind them that you're not the past relationship, right? So say she was in 5 relationships and the guy was abusive, he was cheating, he was doing all this. You kind of have to communicate where it's like, I understand that that's your trauma and that's what you went through, but that's not me. And how could I help you see that, you know, we're different?
Man, you want to know the honest to God, brutal truth about those situations like that is that person needs to step away from a relationship and learn to just love themselves and heal.
100%.
Because trying to maintain a stable relationship and heal yourself, not only is it not fair to you, because it's like you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate.
Dude. It really sucks because like I've been with this girl right now for 2 years, and she is hands down the most attractive female I've ever been.
How'd you guys meet?
Life. She came up to me. My boys dragged me out. So going back to Are You the One? Season 5. I run a social media campaign out in the Bahamas. You remember when I did that?
Yeah.
So I went out in the Bahamas.
Not Fire Festival, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure that guy's in prison.
I think so too. Yeah. Actually, with the situation, I think they were cellmates. No bullshit.
Oh, who is that?
The situation
the situation
from Jersey Shore.
That's right.
They were roommates.
And
I think we're like
roommates,
with the Fire Festival guy. Yeah.
What was his name?
We all know it, but it's
I
can't think of it either.
Yeah,
but
that guy was a tool.
Yeah.
So
social media campaign.
Social media campaign out in the Bahamas. I meet my buddy Dre because I asked Joe off season 6. I said, hey, like my buddy has a property in the Bahamas. He wants to shoot some content for it. He said we can come out and stay for free. He had filmed a YouTube series called Staying Relevant after his season of Are You the One? And the premise behind it was actually great, you know? Just like you said, you want to stay relevant in the reality TV scene afterwards. And it did relatively good, you know, 40 to 50,000 per views per episode, which I thought was good. But anyway, he had a good connection of the seasons, and he could reach out to people. And I said, hey, will you get a group together? One of the guys on the group was named Andre Seamers, who is now like my best friend, like hands down, who now lives in London.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's crazy just like me. So anyway, I become friends with Dre, and when I'm living in Florida, he basically was like, dude, what are you really doing out there? And during COVID, I was like, you know what I'm doing? I'm playing video games with you all day. Like, you know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I remember you being a big video game guy.
And so he
had all the screens and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't played a video game in a couple months now, and it feels good. He was like, you know, come out to Minnesota. And we had a friend who just basically has a bunch of money and has a huge house. And he was like, yeah, just come out and stay. I was like, all right. So I came out for a month, and then they were both just like, why don't you just move out here? Just move in.
That's right. You went from Florida to Minnesota.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, whatever. So I did. And that's where I met my girlfriend, Steph. And I've been out there for the last two-ish years up until now, when I've moved out here about 2 months ago.
So did she move with you, or are you doing long distance?
No, doing long distance. But the plan was really either I'm going to come down here and I'm going to give this job 1 quarter. And if by 1 quarter I'm not liking what I'm seeing with this job, I'll come back.
Yeah.
You know? And if it's going well, you'll come down here.
And that's great.
Wow.
And you have that trust where you could
no, it has been an absolute shit show,
Has it?
dude. Oh, absolutely.
And how long's it been?
Like 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah,
so now it's starting to break a little bit?
Well, I fly back on Tuesday.
Okay.
just to go see her.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it's an adjustment period, right? Because you guys probably saw each other a lot for the last
lived
2
with each
years.
other.
Oh, you did?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a huge adjustment, but I wasn't really having the success that I was looking for in Minneapolis, and I needed a change of pace. Opportunity was out here.
How did she
And-
feel about you coming out here?
Oh man, completely against it.
Really?
I mean, not
Okay.
completely against it. She wanted to be open-minded, and I appreciate her trying to conquer that insecurity for me. But yeah, when I left, it just like I know she was trying, but it did not go over well.
You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? The similarities here is that Hannah and I, we just got engaged last week, right? But
That's right. Congrats.
this was last week.
Yeah.
She is now in Australia for 2 months, and it's only been 1 week. So so far, it's been okay. Mm-hmm. But that's 1 week out of 2 months, so it's gonna test us a lot, you know.
Yeah, what's the time difference for you guys? It's significant, right?
In California, it's not bad. So they're a day ahead, but 5 hours time difference from here. So say it's 5 o'clock here right now. It's 12 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. So we have like the whole day to talk, which is good.
Yeah.
In New York, it's a little different because it'll
Yeah.
be 8 to 12. You get like a 4-hour window, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, so I have a 2-hour time difference between me and Steph.
Yeah.
And if I'm working and like I don't text her within I gave her a time frame, trying to just, I can't be, everything is too.
And it adds stress to your life. But
I'm telling you, and that's
you're
what
here to focus on getting
you.
business going. That needs
Yes.
to be 100% of your focus. And then to take half of that focus to just make sure someone's happy, it's taxing.
Man,
it's
I cannot
taxing.
thank you enough for just saying that, because that's what I tell her. I'm like, you just have to trust me enough to know that if I don't text you back, I'm working. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not off fucking some other girl.
100%.
You know, I have not been interested in hooking up with a girl in, I can't even tell you how long, because I am almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
I'll be 30 years old next year, right? I am not where I want to be. And you want to know why, though? Because I spent the majority of my life chasing women.
100%.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think they don't realize the amount of energy it takes to be single and like look to hook up when you also want to be successful. They don't add up.
I'm exhausted.
right?
I'm exhausted.
But you don't look to like hook up and sleep with chicks every night. You're
No.
just living your life, and as people come in and out, it's very go with the
Super
flow.
easy when you're really tall, though.
But yeah, but when you're out there, like, oh, I want to like hook up tonight.
Yeah, I'm not like a
Energy-
dog
yeah,
with
you're
a
not-
red
exactly.
boner hanging out, running around.
That's,
But I think
that's a little boy tendency.
Yeah,
But
that's like
I
a
think,
20,
like-
young 20s. Like,
yeah, and if Steph and like Hannah thought we were doing that, I'd be like, listen, I'm starting a business. You're starting a business. The amount of energy it would take to go out and hook up every night while doing this it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I've found that it is literally the biggest waste of time and distraction.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Because the older I got, the more I just wanted something that actually held substance.
Right.
I want a relationship of substance, not just some meaningless hookup, because it's such a waste of time.
Time, money.
Usually
like-
money.
Yeah.
There's like money involved. There's time involved. There's distractions.
Opportunity cost.
You guys know I don't even drink, so you're not gonna catch me at a bar ever. You're
Yeah.
not gonna catch me.
Also
at a
think
club.
about this.
Like,
Say you hook up with someone, right? And you know that you don't want to be with them. The amount of energy it takes to not talk to them
to now
anymore.
ghost that person.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
You're just sitting there feeling like a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you took me out, and you don't want to take me out again. It's like, yeah, but I didn't tell you I wanted to be with you. Like,
I
Yeah.
know.
come on.
And so, if you don't want to be with that person, you shouldn't even be at this point in our lives. If you don't want to be with that person, you shouldn't be doing anything with that person.
Yeah, and I think that's how you are.
Yeah, we've
right?
talked a lot about that, where it's like, I will no longer, and I don't want to say 100% of the time, but 99% of the time, I won't sleep with someone unless unless I will enjoy their company cuddling afterwards. Nope. I'll know, if I'm like, this person's fucking annoying, like, I won't even do it. And I think it's definitely a bit of, like, just maturing a little bit. Yeah. And then also, same thing you guys are saying, like, realizing, like, what else could I do with my time?
Yeah.
As opposed to just chasing somebody, try to hook up with them, and that's it. It's not.
And we don't need the validation, right? It's like,
Oh,
yeah,
no, that's
if we want to hook up, we could hook up very easily. We don't need the validation. Like, what's the point?
facts.
You know?
I don't need that.
Yeah, it's like-
I'm not an insecure guy.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand. Some guys, they just need, and not just guys, but just girls, they just need that attention all the time.
Oh yeah, like you have those guys like the buddies where I have this buddy back home. Every time I talk to him, he's like, "Yo, look who I hooked up with last night." I'm like,
Yeah, cool.
like,
That would
I
have been
don't
cool when I
care.
was 21.
Yeah.
I would've been, hell yeah. But now I'm like,
I don't care, man. I'm like, what are you doing in your life?
Why are we
You're living
still
in your mom's
friends?
basement?
cool, honestly. I'd
Yeah.
rather talk about business than talk about who you hooked up with.
Yeah.
I have no, I don't know, man.
Yeah, you just mature and you go out of
I
stuff.
guess,
and, yeah.
you know, that's what it is. I don't know.
But I think it's interesting too, because I think I think you guys both, especially the combined answer of what it takes to overcome trust issues and the issues that pop up. I think you not drinking is huge in that, right? Because how many times you see friends and relationships, like as soon as they start drinking, shit gets crazy, and
it's not just happenstance. Like there's scientific
Oh,
explanation
yeah.
for this because it chemically alters your brain it's a depressant. You just look, don't get me wrong, okay? I like my substances and I like
Sure.
to have a good time, but I'm not going to do ones that make me feel like shit the next day.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And I have done more unintelligent things and said more when I'm drinking than I have doing anything else.
yeah, I think the only things in my life that I truly regret happened while I was drinking.
Yeah,
right. Like nothing that I've done when I was sober. It's like, what if I do something stupid? It's like I don't really care, but like stupid stuff I've said and done when I'm drinking is that's it, right?
And
That's
it's
the
just-
only stuff I regret.
Exactly. There's a chemical explanation for that, and I just avoid it. And plus, I truly believe that you're going to become a product of your environment
Yeah,
subconsciously,
100%.
whether you want to or not. So I don't want to hang around people drinking, man. I'd rather hang around people that want to do things with their life that are unique,
Yeah.
not something with their life that everyone does every weekend.
And to
Yeah.
all these points, right? Like the whole study on the 5 people you surround yourself with most, you end up becoming. It's so true. I know sometimes when I go back home, I get back into the old friend group.
I'm nervous about that
and you
when we
start-
go back.
you
Yeah, because
start-
we're going back. No, we're going back for a month. I'm
you
staying
start-
with my mom.
Wow.
Staying
And you
with-
start
yeah.
degressing, right?
Yeah.
And then when you come back into LA and you're working on business and you hang out with entrepreneurs and successful people, you feel yourself actually moving up.
Yeah.
And you have to keep that core of who do I want to be like? Whoever I want to be like, I want to surround myself with them.
Yeah.
Also, I think I hate being the smartest person in a room, right? Like I always want to be surrounded with people who I'm learning from, right? And of course, intelligence is, a broad term, but it's like, if I'm with someone, what do they know that I don't? And I want to pick their brains on that to just evolve, right?
Right.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's staying with me for this week.
Yeah. Some little intellectual stimulation.
Yeah, his body prep, his
But also-
content creation.
I think it's interesting because we're friends with a couple girls who are non-monogamous, and we were talking about like trust issues, right? And basically, I think Joe, you asked them if they still get jealous, right?
Yeah.
And or if you stop being jealous, I think however the wording was, but it was like, and it's like, no, you don't stop being jealous, but you get better at handling it, which I think is a big distinction, right? Like, do you know much about non-monogamy or?
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Right,
in my
yeah.
opinion. But yeah.
Sure. So, but basically the question was like, do you, because
I don't know why. I just don't understand so non-monogamous, you're out there seeing other people, right? But my theory is why the fuck do you need to put that much time and attention into all these physical interactions with people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's weird to me.
I don't understand it enough to give you a good answer to that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of maybe along those lines where they haven't met the person they want. So now they're like, oh, you know what? I actually don't want to meet anybody. I want to be non-monogamous. But
They don't want to be alone.
the day that person that comes along
Yeah.
that they're in love with, they're not going to be non-monogamous anymore. They're going to be like, oh, I'm in love with this person.
Well, at that point, see, and that's
my theory.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think it really just boils down to, again, just who you are. As a person.
I love that
Because like if I haven't found the person that I want to be with, I'm not about to go be with a bunch of people. It doesn't make any sense to me. I have to focus on things in my life that have tangible wealth. And a lot of these relationships that people have, and just even your day-to-day interactions, a lot of them are just meaningless.
Yeah.
Unless you give them genuine
Attention. Yeah.
And for me to do that, I have to really be happy with where I am in my life, and I try to communicate that out with people, and I try to communicate that out with my girlfriend now. It's like, I'm not leaving you because I want to be away from you. You understand?
You're leaving to make your life better for the two of you.
Exactly. Because like I said, I'm almost 30 years old. If I don't start to attack these problems from every angle, I'm going to blink. I'm going to be 40 and I'm not going to be in the place that I want to be.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you'll be unhappy. She'll be unhappy as a result.
Or she'll be gone.
Yeah.
You know?
If she's even
on to the next best thing,
and it's funny,
which is just human nature in itself too. So I can't.
And I think that's a perfect point. If you told her, hey, Steph, if I'm 40 and I'm still figuring my shit out, would you want to be with me? And she'd probably be like, no, you're 40 and you don't know what you're doing. And you said, if I'm 40 and I'm crushing it, would you want to be with me? She'd be like, yeah, that's hot. And you're like, okay, then let me do that, you know, so that you're still attracted to me in a success standpoint.
Yeah, no, I completely, and it only gets worse if you don't start, you know, like I said, attacking it from every angle. She's never left Minnesota or Minneapolis for that matter. Like that's where she's lived her whole life. I think she went to college in St. Cloud. It was a little further away, but not too far, right? Where me, on the other hand, I've lived in like 12 states. I've lived in New York and LA, and I've bounced around. And if somebody says, hey, hop up and come over here, usually I'm down because I genuinely believe that people are living in a state of psychosis almost, where they're just repeating the same shit every day.
It's so
and they're
scary.
so unconscious because it's like you're never going to change this cycle of insanity.
It's so scary because all you know is what you know, right? Yep. And you have all these people from these small towns who have never left that think they know everything, but it's like you're only getting the information from the other people who never left and never thought differently, right? And then as you get to New York and LA, and you're like, oh, that's how you think. That's how you think. And you form all these opinions. And you're like, okay, I'm going to make my own little combo opinion on everything and evolve every day.
That's exactly how it should be. And then another thing about all that is it's a comfort zone.
Yes.
And like people they refuse to leave their comfort zone. Where me, I was like, boom, busted straight out of my comfort zone. And I know that if I want to see, it's the catalyst of change in people's lives that they refuse. They want this
growth.
change, but all this change is on the outside of their comfort zone, and they won't do it.
And it's like those people who want to be rich and successful, but they don't want to take the risk, right? And it's like you're never going to be rich and successful or an entrepreneur if you don't take a risk. Like there's always been a risk, because if it was easy, then everybody would be an entrepreneur and be successful. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I like the saying that comfort zone is a danger zone, right? If you really want to grow, obviously. But that's what you were saying about like getting out of the habits and experiencing new things. That's why, like, because I've always heard the term non-monogamy, right? But that's why, like, now learning more about it, I'm like, shit, I don't really know anything about this, which is why I'm not saying I'm non-monogamous now, but I'm like, it's another thing that like I'm actually learning about, where it's like, oh, this actually makes sense in a lot of ways, just like anything else you learn about that like you don't know much about and you have preconceived notions. So like just same thing, like learning about new stuff, at least you have maybe an understanding as to why someone lives that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And back to the non-monogamous thing, like I'm not against people who do that, or there's nothing wrong with doing that. Me personally, like I said, down to the person. I don't require, I don't have like sexual like requirements that I have to have, you know what I'm saying? Like I could literally go months without having sex and I'd be completely fine with it. Because if it's not something that has substance, I don't care and I don't need it.
Yeah. I think, you know, as you get older and busier, you want to eliminate drama, right? That's the key to life, is eliminating drama. And I think, at least for me personally, if I added all these different women to my life to be non-monogamous, you don't know how
it's a job in itself.
You don't know how they're going to react to each other. One might get jealous, the other one might be fine with it. Then they might switch, and you have to kind of manage all of it. And I just think it's going to elicit drama very quickly.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's a perfect combination for chaos. And I just don't need that. The older I get, like I'm such a high energy person. 90% of the time I'm high energy. I could talk to a tree about a leaf, like anything. And the older I get, the more I just find myself like wanting to be alone, wanting to be away from people, because I feel like just the quality of your average person these days just sucks.
Oh, for sure.
And that sucks. Yeah. So I'd rather just be alone than, because I do not want to subconsciously, because like we said, you're going to be like the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. I don't want to subconsciously, you know, be altered because I just have to be around these idiots these days.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like everyone's an idiot, but man, it's just pretty common these days.
Yeah,
The
and
quality
social
of
media
people.
will compound that and give you the worst of the worst. And
the worst, man.
That's why you got to talk to redwoods only, giant redwoods.
Yeah,
only spending
perfect
time with those
trees.
sequoias. Yeah, don't fuck with the little maple trees. So what else, Joe? So I mean, you've been in a relationship for 2 years now, so that
Yep.
takes away any sort of like juicy dating questions that we would have for you. But
Man, and even if I wasn't, unfortunately,
You probably
I
wouldn't be
wouldn't
doing
have
that.
any
Yeah.
juicy
Nah, John's a
dating
good dude.
questions.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
I try, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
Just everything in life these days seems
So now, what's the plan here? So I know you've been out here 2 months, right?
Yeah, just give it another month. You know, I said I'd be out here for 1 quarter, and if I'm not getting the results at work that I want, then I'm gonna relocate, probably back to Minnesota. So
All right.
yeah, you know.
Well, we could always use another face for Fresh John's on me, and
Oh yeah,
you got the face
and the mind.
and the mind.
Great
yeah.
Well, I
mind.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very opinionated on the current status of a lot of things.
Yeah, well, maybe we could talk about that. Like, do you have friends that are, that you hear like dating horror stories from, or like, what they do right and wrong as guys? Like,
Going back to Andre off season 5, I was telling you he was living in London. I watched him, and man, I used to give him so much shit because like we were living together. He's just such a dog. Like he's just talking to 5 girls at all the time, and like they all believe that they're exclusive. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, bro, for one, you're not where you want to be in life. You want to know how I know? Because you bitch about it all the time, all right? But all you're doing is talking to these girls. But now, throughout COVID, he randomly found this girl on TikTok who lives out in London. She is super cool. She does very well on social media. I think she's got like 400 or 500K followers, so she does well. And then she works for the family that created Formula One.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And then so he moved out there with her, and now he has been just crushing it in life.
Now,
And
what
I-
is he doing?
What
Did
he's
he
doing, he's
latch
doing
on to
like
that? Or?
he's doing Amazon FBA. He's also got a really good social media following. He was on multiple reality shows. So he's really just using all of his resources to,
Nice.
to elevate his life, and using her resources, and they're collaborating on certain things. And he is doing so well with this woman. And what it really just leads me to believe is just like the caliber of woman in your life will directly reflect how successful you are as a man. Going back to what you were saying earlier, like how I'm having all this additional stress in my life due to this girl, when in reality, you should be the one removing stress from my life.
You should
Being the
be
one
an
to,
add-on to the
yes,
positivity.
Exactly.
Like say, I don't know what Steph does, but she could be like, how can I help you? Like, what do you need help with to get to the next level? Do you need a connection? Do you need me to do something for you? And yeah, that's what you need in a partner where, you would do that for them, right? Like you want to bring each other up together and not have to balance each other out.
All I ask is this. I say, please work on your insecurities.
Yeah.
All right? Please try not to bring any added chaos into my life. I have a stressful life already as it is. Like, just, work on your insecurities, because I know if she works on her insecurities, it's going to reduce a lot of stress out of my life. Because
hers.
I'm not going to have to. And hers, absolutely. She's too unconscious to understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if you work on your insecurities, I will not have to worry about keeping you happy all the time. It feels like a full-time job, and it was impossible to do even when we lived together.
And like you said earlier, a person has to make themselves happy by themselves, and that's when they'll actually be happy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need somebody else to make you happy. You shouldn't need a job to make you happy. You should be happy with who you are. And then as things come in, people come in, it's just an add-on to who you are as a person.
And you know what sucks is I feel like social media just causes people to have like just horrible emotional intelligence.
Do you know how many times I would get a text, who is so-and-so? And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You started
liked a
following
picture,
so-and-so.
You followed somebody, and that's what I was dealing with today.
Yeah.
I followed a girl, and like completely harmless, never spoken to this girl ever in my life. And, I have no ill intentions, or I'm not out to do anything. And just having to explain that to somebody is just awful all the time. It's awful.
Your buddy in London with the woman that lifts him up.
Yeah, and like she, you know, she's a great girl, and she just, she's really just elevated. They've worked together, and like witnessing things like this, and then kind of like I don't ever try to compare relationships because it's all circumstantial.
Yeah,
you know, and there's a lot of factors that are involved that no one knows because whatever you don't see on social media,
sure,
you know.
And what you do see could be fake anyway.
Exactly, it's all a facade for the most part. So I never try to compare, but like when he's one of my best friends. I talk to him all the time, and I just see how good he's doing, how happy he is, and I'm sitting here trying to explain to my girlfriend that the girl that I was talking to at the grocery store was just asking me where this was, and I wasn't. You know, she's so paranoid.
And even if she was hitting on you, like she has to learn that you're not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the emotional intelligence to understand that. Like I said, be able to rationalize: is there a problem, or am I insecure?
Yeah. So what I try and do is I have like these 4 or 5 super couples, and I try and explain to Hannah like we have to be a super couple. So you have Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber, right? I feel like they lift each other up.
Absolutely, Ashton Kutcher, Mila.
I just added them. We had Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
Oh, love them.
Right? They're number 2. Do you know who Jay Shetty is?
I don't think so.
So Jay Shetty and his wife, he's like a motivational speaker kind of guy.
I think the name sounds familiar.
You've probably seen him on Instagram or something.
We got Sergio Ramos and Pilar Rubio.
Stud. He's
So-
a stud soccer player. Love him.
And then Tom Brady and Giselle were there.
Wow, so
But
they got voted off the island.
they got
recently.
voted off.
So there's
recently.
room for a 5th, and you guys
So
could
those are the
slide
top
right
4.
in.
But I always tell her, you know, look at how these couples are power couples. They just build each other up, and like we said, you don't know what goes on behind social media, but they seem to be crushing it. So, you know, that's what you got to do, I think.
Well, you know, some of the it's like so toxic with the relationship that I have right now sometimes, and I'm not one to just give up on people. It's tough for me to just walk away. Like, you have a problem. Like, okay, well, we're adults. If there's a problem, there's a solution.
Because you see, you can actually grow with this person. And
Well, you also have to understand that you are capable of growing.
yeah,
You are capable of growing.
and learning
like,
from each other.
Man, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was psychedelics at one point in my life. It literally just woke me up and made me a conscious human being towards these things because I had ADHD. I was angry all the time as a kid. I got in trouble a lot at school. My parents were divorced. I went through a bunch of just, you know, generic stuff these days, unfortunately. But I was unconscious, you know. I was just, and then one day I just woke up and I said, you have to hold yourself accountable for the way that you act.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to acknowledge your problems. If you ever want, you're never going to fix a problem if you don't think that there's any problem there.
Yeah.
And so you have to be consciously aware of your own actions enough to admit, okay, there's a fucking problem. And I have to be consciously aware enough to make a conscious effort towards fixing that problem. And most people are not conscious. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the phone. I don't know if it's the social media that has made them believe
it's a little bit of everything. It's food. It's literally everything.
Hormone manipulation. Yeah. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, but
yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like with Hannah, I'm always like, what am I doing wrong? How can I help? You know, where do I need to evolve? And, you know, it's helped me a lot. I've become so much more emotionally intelligent. In past relationships, I'd be like, all right, if you're causing me drama, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. You know, whatever. Let's move on. Now it's like, okay, what's wrong? And how could I be more emotionally intelligent to understand you, grow with you so that we could kind of fix it and build the blocks up, you know?
Yeah. I try to be as patient as I can too.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you I try not to set expectations.
Right.
You know, because I think a lot of situations in relationships, it's all circumstantial. Like if you have an idea of the way that things are supposed to be, which like I was saying I think is the problem. You look on social media and people like, you know, get programmed to believe that things are supposed to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And then when they're not, it's a problem and they're unhappy. And so I don't ever want to put myself in a situation where like, all right, well, it wasn't exactly how I wanted, so now I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to if you are grateful for the things that you do have in your life, you'll always be happy.
And I think those things need to be the simplest things. Like,
and when I say things, I don't mean anything of material.
Like healthy, right?
Yes.
I know so many times when I thought something was wrong with me, I'd be like, oh fuck, like this is the biggest problem. And then once that's solved, it's like, oh shit, just being healthy is such a blessing because there's so many people in this world who don't have the opportunity to just be healthy. Well, so what's that?
So do you remember that bump on my arm? I don't know if I ever showed you the bump on my arm. It was like it looked like a mole or like a pimple or something. It was growing, you know, when we met in New York City. And then when I moved down to Florida, oddly enough,
Yeah.
I'm friends with a doctor down there, a very, very well-respected doctor. I helped him lose like 70 pounds when I trained him. And I moved down there, and I go to the dermatologist just because I didn't want this thing on my arm anymore. I'm like, what is this? Get it off. I go, and they're like, you have melanoma.
No.
And I was like, and they were like, because I was 26, 27. I was 27 years old. And because I was tanning a lot when I got signed with my agency, just trying to stay dark all the time. And I got that melanoma.
Holy shit.
So, you know, wrapping that into what you were saying about just being appreciative, dude, that thing was growing on my body. It's an extremely rare form of melanoma. And if it had metastasized and spread throughout my body, I didn't have any health insurance. I would have been beyond fucked.
So did you catch it like just in time?
I would say probably.
Wow.
Because it had been on my body for like a year and a half.
And it was just a
growing.
bump that just kept building.
Just growing and growing and growing. It was weird. And when they biopsied it, they didn't call me for like 3 weeks because it was so rare. They're like, all right, well, this is what you have. We have to send this off to other pathologists to like confirm the severity of this situation.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was like horrible to go through.
So first question, are you okay now?
Oh, I'm perfectly fine now.
Okay, good.
But it's those experiences in life, and I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
But wrapping that into what you said, just being able to sit down and go, you know what, looking at what you've been through, looking at where you're at, looking at what you have, appreciating the fact that you're healthy, you're intelligent, you're conscious.
You could walk.
You can breathe.
See.
You know, all these things. If you're just grateful for the bare minimum things in life, you'll always be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that I need those reminders sometimes, right? Like I think it was like last week I was walking up to the gym, tired, long day, and I was just like, I don't really want to go to the gym. And I literally see this guy with like one of those like double canes with the wrist supports.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is like his legs bare like don't work, and I'm like, what the fuck am I like tired about? Like,
exactly.
I hate that that has to happen for me to like
crazy
think that way. But
As humans, we think that way.
But unfortunately, that's just, we live in a bubble.
Yeah.
We do. We live in a bubble, and I don't want people to struggle, but, you know, struggle is good. Struggle builds character.
Yeah.
You know, people take shit for granted every single day.
yeah, and there's good struggle and bad struggle.
There's
Like
good
you don't
struggle
want
and bad struggle, yeah, you know.
Self-inflicted struggle.
That's why I'm grateful for my parents. My parents, I come from a very good family. Both my parents do really, really well. But they noticed one thing about me growing up, and they were like, you're starting to get a tendency to respond to instant gratification. Like,
They said this to you.
yeah, fuck.
Wow, that's a
my parents-
very,
my
very
parents-
astute advice to give to a child.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
They're like, yeah, we live in a big ass house. We live in a nice neighborhood. All your friends have stuff. We don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
Though. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand, and I hated them at the time. I was so pissed, you know. And then growing up,
How old were you when they said that to you?
Oh man, probably 15.
Wow.
You know.
You're probably a little shit then, weren't you?
Oh, fucking little
Yeah.
bastard, dude. Like, all my friends got lifetime memberships. And I was like, where's mine? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to need this lifetime membership now. And they're like, you are such a little dick. And I'm like, you know, like I said, I was so pissed at him growing up. And then when I grew up into an adult and I became conscious, I'm just like...
That's really what it is, though, is snapping out of being on. And it's not, like you said, like sometimes, like I feel like you said it kind of clicked for you at one point, but I'm sure you were working on stuff for a long time, like leading up to that point, but maybe didn't break through.
You know, I think my mom had me in therapy growing up. And I think that definitely made me somewhat aware, you know.
Awareness, yeah, that's what it is.
Just
Yeah.
basically aware that there was some sort of disconnect, you know, that I needed to focus on. And I hate to be the guy, but just like psychedelic drugs really do make you like really just change perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it is a weird thing. And a lot of people think it's taboo. And a lot of people, unfortunately, will just continue to do the same cycle every single day.
And it's crazy how, I mean, I'm not like on a soapbox here, but like how accepted alcohol is and you know,
You just
cigarettes
tapped into that
a little bit,
a
yeah.
little bit.
But like stuff like this, I mean, people are starting to come around on it, but like you're saying, like I think it's super important for breaking patterns, getting out of your own head and just changing shit up.
Yeah,
what did you
absolutely.
do? What did you experiment with?
Mushrooms, LSD.
Okay.
Mostly. Mostly. You know, unfortunately, in our society, once something becomes so monetized, it has certain entities in place to maintain its legitimacy or establishment or whatever that is, whether that's lobbyists who are lobbying, whether that's people in the back on, you know, on the operations side saying, all right, we need to make this a certain color and use this pattern of word, which is actually how deep these people go into the analytics and the psychology behind their consumers, which is not good.
Was just talking to my mom
Which
about
is literally not good. Capitalism, good. Brainwashing people to need your product or think that they need your product, not good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's not good. Like our society
I think
fucked.
Instagram, Instagram, right? Like having Instagram is so cool, right? You could see photos of your friends, and then Instagram brainwashing you to be addicted to Instagram is terrible. Like you look on someone's phone, and they give you the timer. Oh, hours spent on Instagram today, 6 hours. Like, how the fuck are you looking at Instagram for 6 hours?
Yeah, I know, man. And like I said, I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole with that stuff. But it is all programmed based on just like dopamine. And just it keeps you addicted to that dopamine spike in your brain.
I had a friend
same with the food.
Weird.
Yeah. Heather.
The food is much worse than we could ever imagine. Much, much worse. Our food is being packed with things that spike estrogen in men. And that's a problem. Like that's not what we're supposed to. We are so far off the natural path of life.
Yeah. Then the gut-brain connection, the gut gets all fucked up.
Oh, yeah. And then not to mention the fact the booze. So the good chemicals that you do have in your brain, you're fucking killing them.
Yeah.
And then the good bacteria in your stomach, you're also killing that.
Yeah.
And so like I was saying earlier about, you know, if something becomes too monetized, there is no stopping it. It doesn't matter the moral, physical, emotional, financial implications that it has on society. If it is worth a certain amount of money, people have invested interest in making sure that it maintains the way it is, and it sucks.
There was a study that just came out a few weeks ago about cancer, and by far the three main causes of cancer were drinking, smoking, and obesity.
Oh yeah,
but by far,
And
and we know that, but we're not going to stop. Like people aren't going to stop drinking.
Monetize.
They're not going to stop eating McDonald's.
Well, first of
Like,
all, how
why?
do we know that these folks aren't having the pharmaceutical companies and the fast food restaurants aren't having a meeting together, going, "Hey, you know,
Sure they are.
Great quarter, everyone."
Yeah.
You know, like,
Definitely.
it's awful.
And I would bet stress is probably number
is
4 or like
cortisol.
1A, 1B, but like we can't really measure that as.
I think
cortisol?
I think it was I guess tangible.
Right, exactly,
things,
yeah.
But yeah, stress too.
Yeah, dude, the stress that we put on our lives over material things is insane, and that brings me full circle back to that capitalism thing. When you're being brainwashed to think that you need these things.
Yeah.
I want to live out of a Sprinter van and have like 5 outfits. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I want. I like people. Life is complicated for one because we have made it that way.
Yep.
That's really what it boils down to, unfortunately, too.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think
Are we running out of time?
before we bounce, you know, where do you see John's life going in 2-3 years? Because we know you're going to be successful.
Well, I appreciate
But
that.
where do you want that avenue to be?
You know, it's such a tough question. I want financial success. You know, I want to have freedom to do whatever I want to. I don't have anything specific in mind, which obviously is alarming.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Things come along, you know. I would like to be with someone, but I don't need to be with anyone. That's something that I'm very happy that I'm aware of. Other than that, you know, just maintaining my own personal happiness.
Yep.
Because like I said, if you're not happy with your own life, you're not going to be happy with somebody else.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, at least speaking for myself, just being in your presence, you know, boosts up the energy and makes you feel happy. So
You speak for me too.
yeah, I think just, having you around, people really benefit. So,
I appreciate it.
yeah,
Yeah,
of
man.
course.
Thanks for having me,
I
guys.
appreciate it. Well, I would love to do a part 2 one day because I feel like we have so many things we could go way deeper on outside of dating relationships, and it would be cool. So
Absolutely. A lot of rabbit holes to jump
so
down.
many. Yeah. Well, John, thank you
Should
so
we bring
much.
our tinfoil hat?
Absolutely, bro.
Absolutely.
I don't leave home without it these days. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank
Thanks
you,
for
bro.
having me.
Appreciate you.
Of course.